Namaste. So welcome to your slow flow yoga to feel soothed and nurtured. Let's take a few moments to take our hands to our thighs, sitting comfortably with the spine nice and long. And we'll take 3 deep breaths to begin. Deep breath in through your nose, exhale with a sigh. And let those first few exhalations just let go of anything that is not serving you right now. Any preoccupations in your mind. Anything in particular that might be in your body that you feel ready to release. And as we tune into a slower, more rhythmic breath, we start to self-regulate our nervous system. So I invite you now, with your eyes still closed, just simply follow the natural comings and goings of your own breath. Making any adjustments in your posture so that you feel comfortable. And our breath often teaches us so much about what's happening in the inner currents of our bodies, our minds, our energy. So just simply notice, is the breath deep or shallow? Does the breath feel calm, smooth, or shaky and tense? And notice where the breath is going into your body. Do you feel that you're breathing primarily through the upper chest area, or is it descending fairly easily into your lower abdomen? Just allow for this slower introspective time, taking the time out to tune in. Our happiness and our well-being really is an inside job, so we take time to get quiet, calming the fluctuations of the mind. In our yoga practice, the second sutra is actually called Chitta, Vritti, Narodaha, which means just that, calming the mental agitation, which keeps us away from our natural balance, our natural sense of well-being, and where the body is able to self-regulate and heal. So as we begin to restore the balance within our own breath, we begin to tune in and connect more deeply to what our hearts, our bodies, our energy are actually asking for. And you can think about this as the 3 pillars of well-being, as eating whole foods, natural foods that nourish your body, movement that is nourishing and balancing to stabilize and mobilize your body to keep you resilient, elastic, strong, and endurance. And proper relaxation, allowing your body the time to rest and restore. Simply noticing the current of breath and if anything is changing now that you've been sitting for a few minutes. Maybe slowing the exhalation down. And for the next 5 rounds of breath, think of just the number 5 as your magic number. And I'll guide you through the first 2 rounds where you'll breathe in for 5 seconds, hold the breath for 5 seconds, breathe out for 5 seconds, and hold the breath out for 5 seconds. Unless you feel shortness of breath, and you can always reduce that time. So we should never feel struggle or strain in the body. So let's let all the air out. And we'll breathe in now together. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold at the top of the inhale. 3, 2, 1. And then exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's begin again. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Retain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slowly exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No breath. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Continue that cycle on your own and finding a breath rhythm that feels appropriate. It might be anywhere between 3 and 7 seconds, but try to maintain its regularity. And sometimes we feel that it's easier to exhale than inhale, sometimes inhale than exhale, but find a rhythm where you can just find that, what we call this boxed breath, where each of the quadrants of the inhale, the retention, the exhale, the suspension are all even. And just feeling as you inhale and retain at the top of your inhale, there's this expansion, an opening through the rib cage, a lengthening of the spine. And each time you begin an exhale and then you hold the breath out at the end of the exhale, the belly draws in a little bit to your spine, just releasing the air completely and feeling that stillness, that silence. So simply observe the difference in sensation when you're retaining the breath at the top of the inhale. What does that feel like? Is there a buoyancy, a lightness, a suspension of time? And then at the end of the out breath, when you retain the breath and the belly comes in, how does that suspension of breath feel? An emptying, a gentle contraction, a letting go. Let's do a couple more rounds. Just noticing, so we're moving more into the feeling sense of our body as we do this breath. Tuning in, moving away from the thought processes. And it's normal if a thought or two comes in from time to time, but we just kind of acknowledge that we're thinking and letting it go and observe and be really present to our breath. It's one way to teach our minds how to be focused and disciplined, is to follow the rhythm of the breath. Knowing that it's nourishing your nervous system, your internal organs, beginning to build more resiliency within. And at the end of your last breath, just release and breathe naturally, feeling the effects of just taking these few minutes to breathe in a rhythmic way. And as you take a couple of deep breaths here, I'll suggest that you uncross your legs and cross them in the other direction. It's usually your non-dominant side, so it might feel a little funny. All right, and then let's take the hands back to the knees and begin to do a little flexion extension of the spine. So rock the torso forward and back. Breathe in as you move forward and breathe out as you come back. So see if you can get all three segments of your spine moving here. So if there's stiffness through the lower back, only go to the point where you feel that there is movement without any pinching or pain. And through the middle back, that area between the shoulder blades, through the upper part of the back, including your neck, just get that moving as well. Breathing in, breathing out, just finding more suppleness in the spine. And as you come back to the center, let's release through the neck and the shoulders. When you're ready, inhale, take the shoulders up to your ears, and exhale and just let them drop through the mouth. Inhale through the nose, bring them up, and release with a good exhale. Let the shoulders really drop away from the ears here. When we're tense or stressed, those shoulders tend to creep up. It's good to notice this if you're sitting at your desk any length of time during the day as well, how they naturally kind of do that as we get tense and focused on certain things. Good. Now roll the shoulders back. Good. Nice big shoulder circles here towards the back so that the shoulder blades are moving. You're feeling the mid back start to get a nice massage. And then roll them forward, but this time alternate the shoulders. So you're drawing one forward and then the other. Very nice. All right, let's complete with a few more spinal movements here. So hands to the side, fingertips on the floor. Take a deep breath in, lengthen your right arm straight up, get some length and space through the ribs. And then walk the left hand away from you, start to move into a gentle lateral flexion. So as you do that, anchor your right hip and sit bone down into the floor so that the pelvis is well anchored and stable. Good, take another breath here. And then release. Inhale, come back through the center. Let's float the other arm vertically upwards first to get some length. Anchor down through your left sit bone, and then move laterally into that side bend. We'll take a couple of breaths here. It's finding that space again through the ribs, through the facet joints as they open up on the left side of your spine and contract a little bit on the right side at the moment. And then go with your breath. So inhale as you float back to the center, and exhale as you move deeper into your lateral bend, keeping the hips and the buns well anchored into the floor, and just float from side to side and see how that lands. So a lot of times when we have any kind of trigger points, tension or pain along the spine, the hips, the shoulders, it's because deep connective tissue starts to get knotted up because of our daily habitual positions or daily movement patterns that we do, or sports that we've done in the past, or injuries that we might have had. And so the yoga practice is beautiful because it balances all multidimensional movements. We're moving in all directions to regain some balance here and correcting those patterns that might sometimes there's just weakness in some areas or tightness in some areas. So we get strong where it's weak and we get supple where it's tight. Good. Let's finish that one up one more time. Deep breaths, and we'll just move into some gentle rotation. So let's take both arms up here. And as you exhale, turn the torso to the right and let the hands fall down to the floor. So my fingertips are on the floor behind me, using the opposite hand to the knee just to give a little gentle pull to move into that twist. Take a deep breath into your abdomen. When you're ready to inhale again, let the inhale float the arms upwards overhead, and let the exhale turn the torso in the other direction. A little bit of leverage with a hand on the thigh to give it a twist, and the fingertips on the floor behind you. Look behind your shoulder. Good. Now when you're ready, let's link that with a breath. Inhale, send the arms skyward, and the exhale takes you into the twist. So we always start the breath before we move, and that the breath carries us through our movement, regardless of the flow that we're doing. So we're working through flow. It just means we're combining breath and movement. And that's another principle in yoga that I really love, and it's called Vinyasa Krama. So vinyasa means to move in a special way or to link movement and breath. And it also means conscious evolution from one moment to the next. So it teaches us to be present in the moment. And krama means evolutionary stage. So we just kind of go step by step, easing into the body. We could repeat the same movement over and over, and it's never quite the same sensation. So we're noticing what is awakening, what's not. This will be our last one. So just complete your round here on both sides. And then come back in through the center once you've completed. And we can remove any cushion that we're using here. Take the feet forward. This is one of my favorites for hips, and I'll show you a bunch of different variations of a windshield wiper. So we do this often lying on the back. We're going to do this one seated. So support your weight with your hands behind you. So sitting comfortably, feet really wide, knees nice and wide, and just let the knees fall in and out. So for this first part, first krama, or first stage of this seated windshield wiper, I want you to keep your sit bones on the floor. So your two buns are on the floor. And so what we're noticing here is that one leg is going into internal rotation, the other one is moving out. And then we change. This one goes into internal, that one goes out. So kind of check in. So how is your upper thigh bone here rotating in the hip? Do you have more facility on the inhalation or the internal rotation, or on the sometimes exhalation or external rotation? I know I often feel that I'm living in two bodies, on the right side and the left side. An old ski injury sometimes creeps back at me on one of my hips. So I just kind of coax my way into it. Now, if this feels enough for you, you can stay there. I'm going to give you another option to add the arm, where we're actually going to lift the right hip off the floor. So my right hip lifts and I extend the right arm up overhead. Take a nice deep breath. And then we do the same thing on the other side. So bringing the knees down to the floor and then extending up from here. So try that one a couple of times. See if that feels good. And if you feel that, no, you know what, I just like keeping my hands behind me and staying with that first stage, you stay there. One is not better than the other. They both offer different benefits here for the hip. Now we're getting into spine and shoulders. And there is a third position, actually even fourth, and we can go for them all. I can lift the hips right off the floor, draw the hips forward and reach up. I find that one so soothing for the hips. So we're doing slow flow to be soothed and nurtured here in this practice. And this is one that I consider to be quite soothing because I get tight through the hip flexors. So if you get tightness through those hips, and that's a reason why the low back starts to stiffen up, then this is a nice one. So we're going to try a little bit more instability. I'm going to offer you one more different range of motion, which asks for a little bit more control. So you can try this with your hands interlaced behind your head. And you can go back to that first move first. And I'm just offering a bunch of suggestions here. You get to make the decision which one you want to keep going for. So that requires a little bit more stability through the spine. Okay, keeping the hands here. Now, if your knees feel in a good position to come up, I can actually then come up onto my knees and lift the hips this way and open the elbows nice and wide. So that's a little tougher. We come back into that windshield position with the knees, come up slowly onto the knees, so no jarring or forcing movements. Okay, so that's a little tougher because it brings in the stability and balance component. I'm just going to do one more here on each side. So you've got all these different variations to play with of that seated windshield wiper. And then come on back once you've completed, and we'll come onto all fours. Okay, so from an all four position now, let's spread the fingers nice and wide, place the knees underneath the hips, and we'll begin with some big body circles. Transfer the weight over to your right hand and then your right knee, and then over to your left knee and your left hand. And then we continue. So we can practice to just feel some mini circles to begin. So just kind of getting a sense of that weight transfer from one area to the next on the floor. And then you can also invite medium-sized movement where you're initiating the movement from different areas of your body. So it's fun sometimes to play with pulling back through the hip. And so if you were just to initiate your circles from your pelvis and your hips, how does that feel in your body? So in these kind of slow flow practices, what's nice is that we can just practice being the curious explorer. All right. And what if you were to initiate the movement with the right elbow the next time, bending the elbow? Notice what that does through the lats and the obliques and your abdominals and your spine. If you were to bend the elbow a little bit more. Okay, get the whole spine moving. We're just going to do a couple more here on this side and then see how it feels on the other side. Okay, so when you're ready, changing direction. So shifting from right hand to left hand, over to the left knee and then right knee. Right hand, left knee, right knee. And so what if you were to initiate that movement from the left hip, leading with the left hip back towards the left heel? Okay, so feeling the hips and the glutes. This is going to warm up the hip structure nicely, and we'll do some strengthening through the glutes because the stronger our hips, our rotators, and the glutes are, the more supported our lower back is. Okay, so we're going to get into that here in a moment. So same thing, maybe initiate with the elbow, bending the left elbow a little bit more to guide the motion from the shoulder or the ribs. Slow, deep breaths. Let's just finish a couple more on that side. And as you come back in towards the center, find an even balance in weight now between all 4 points. So knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders. Draw the belly button into your spine. So the feeling is like when you cough, that little bracing. So when we say bracing, it's that tightening of the abdomen. And then we're going to use the glute here on the right side to initiate the movement. So we're strengthening abdominals and we're strengthening the glute, all right, to support the spine. So imagine you're pressing your right heel into an imaginary wall and you just want to push that wall away with the heel. So in so doing, You're activating your glute muscles, and then we pull the abdomen in so that we're not arching the lower back. Okay, the back stays nice and long, and we're pressing back. Good. And then pull the knee back in. Let's do it on the other side. So soft elbows, keep the shoulders down. Draw the belly button in, so you're bracing the abs, and then slowly kicking the left heel back. So you're putting your mind into that left gluteal muscle here. And then belly comes in, so we're not arching or opening the hip. We're trying to keep the hips neutral. So get that leg nice and long. Good. And then come on back. Let's do that one more time. Brace the abdominal muscles and then press back through the right. Strong through the thighs, strong through the quad, belly in. Good. And then come on back. And then other side, press back. Nice long, strong leg. Activate your thigh muscle, your glutes, your abs pull in, get strong and long. Now we're going to add the opposite arm the next time. So stabilize, press with the glute, extend your left arm at the same time as your right leg. Your gaze is maybe 2 feet ahead of you on the floor just to keep your balance. Okay, and then bring it all back in. Do it again on the other side. So the spine stays long. Use the muscles of the posterior part of your body. Glutes, all the spinal muscles now are working as we introduce the arm. How about one more round? Breathe, extend, hold it for a couple seconds, come back, other side. Reach. Good. All right, now extend the right leg back again, and this time do a little pendulum motion. So touch the toes to the left side, and then touch the toes over to the right side. Okay, so a little side-to-side motion here. So now naturally, your spine is starting to move laterally. Opening up the facet joints of your back. Keep the shoulders relaxed. And we grip the mat with the tips of our fingers. So all the knuckles are working here. So we're not defaulting into our wrists. All right. Good. So take that right foot over to the left side and anchor into the ball of your foot here. So your leg is nice and stretched. And then release the right hand and stretch it out so that you're starting to stretch from the top of your hip here. And we're bringing that arm kind of in a diagonal as well over to the left side. Good. And reach, looking down, stretch from your fingertips down under the armpit, the side waist, and from your hip to the ball mound of your toes, you're anchoring into the floor. Take another breath. Come back through the center. Release into a little child's pose. Realign your back. Stretch the arms forward, right out through the fingertips. If it feels good to do a little rock side to side, you can do that. And we'll do that same sequence here on the other side. So pendulum with the legs, so the lateral flexion. Extend your left leg back this time. And start to rock it over to the right side. And then over to the left side. Nice deep breaths. So see how that feels through the obliques and the waist and the hip and the back. Finding a range of motion that feels comfortable. Straight, strong back leg. So we take that left leg over to the right. We're going to hold it there the next time. Anchor in. So I'm just kind of rolling onto the ball mound of my foot and the toes. And then releasing the opposite hand. Extend. Bringing it out to the side. That feels good for the whole side part of the body on the left. Take another long, deep breath in. And then release, bringing it back through the center and coming back to the child's pose. Good. Give it a little wiggle side to side. From here, come back up onto all fours again. Curl your back toes, your toes under here in the back, and take your hand just behind your neck. So you're just kind of cupping the back of your neck with your hand. So here's an upper thoracic mid-spine twist. So we lift the elbow up to the ceiling as high as we can, and then twist through. Draw your right elbow over to the left side as far as it'll go. And do that a few times. So breathe in, nice expansion on the way up here on the right, and then cross it over to the left. Combine it with your breath and just see how that moves. So the pelvis doesn't move very much here. The lower body is super stable. And we're doing our best to get the movement happening through the mid-thoracic spine. A lot of muscular attachments there. And if we're sitting a lot at the desk, those muscles can get a little bit tight or weak. So we'll do that one more time. And then bring it back to the center. Try that on the other side. So left hand cups the back of the neck. Start to open the left elbow up to the ceiling. And then bring it through as far as you can. Good. Try to keep your weight even here on both knees so that you're well balanced from your toes, your knees. And see if you can initiate the movement not only from the shoulder, but from the middle back here, that area between the shoulder blades. And do you notice that one side moves differently than the other? It's quite normal. A lot of us, if you're right-handed or left-handed and we use one side of our body more, or we hold on to our computer bags or purses more on one side or another. When that's completed, just come back into a child's pose again. Just realign. And from here, we're going to roll on up and come onto our bellies for a nice wide cobra. So come on down. Wide legs, wide hands. Anchor the tops of your feet into the floor. Press the pubic bone and the hip bones into the floor. Just draw the chin in towards the chest a little bit here as you pull the sternum, the collarbone upwards off of the floor so that the pelvis stays on the floor still. And then let yourself slowly roll back down. Let's do that with breath. Anchor down through the lower body from your feet to your hips. And instead of focusing on how high you can go, try to go longer. So how long can you go? Almost as though we're pulling our hands towards our feet to encourage length through the spine. So I'd rather you go longer than higher. So sometimes we focus on just pushing straight up. That compresses the lumbar vertebrae. So I want you to visualize what's happening in your spine as though you can create space between each vertebrae so that your intervertebral discs have more room to expand and contract. We'll add a little twist if that feels good. Next time you come down, lead with your right shoulder and look behind your left shoulder. Next time you inhale, just come straight back to the center. When you exhale, lead with the left shoulder and look over the right shoulder. Try that. Let's go for one more time each side. This is another one of my end of day favorites. Puts all the joints of our body into a nice extension. Good. So when you're ready here, just to release, come on down. Good. And we'll come into a side lying position. And this is where it might be nice just to have a little pillow under your head. Okay, so start with both hands here in front of you. So both arms are outstretched in front of your body. So at the height of your shoulder. And the knees are stacked one on top of the other. So that way the pelvis is nice and straight. So if you see that the top knee rolls back, comes behind the bottom knee, just bring it forward. That way your pelvis will be more balanced. Nice circles now for the shoulder, great for mobility. So when you feel set up, take a nice deep breath. Start to sweep that top arm up overhead so the arm is really heavy. And then start to bring it back as far as it'll go. And you'll feel that deep stretch through the pec and the shoulder and the arm. So you're circling the arm without moving the pelvis. So ideally that top hip is moving forward as the arm moves backwards. Okay, so that the lower body stays really static. So my top arm is super heavy here. My head is heavy. And I'm just concentrating on moving from the shoulder joint. So that includes your collarbone. That includes the upper arm bone, the scapula or your shoulder blade. So the shoulder joint is one of the most unstable joints in the body, and it's all connected by muscle, connective tissue, tendons, ligaments. Yeah. So great stretch for the anterior deltoid, front of your shoulder, the pectorals. that tend to get tight when we're often too rounded forward using technology or driving or sitting. Try that one more time. And then find your sweet spot. Just find a little edge in the pose. Where is that where you feel the deepest stretch that you just kind of want to, I say you might want to hang out there, but maybe you don't, where it's a little bit more intense. And just pause and breathe 3 times wherever you feel the most intensity. You can play with that angle a little bit, inviting micro movement into the shoulder. Just give it a chance to release. And after that final breath, you can roll it back alongside of your body and use that hand to help you up. And we'll change sides. Side lying, support your head with your cushion so that your head stays in alignment with your spine so it's not falling down onto the floor. So blanket or cushion. Both arms are forward, one on top of the other. And just take a peek at your knees. Make sure the knees are lined up so your pelvis is stable. And then when you're ready, you can do those circles again. So up and back. Really heavy arm. And just finding a slow pace. It might be slower than me. It might be a little faster, but I want you just to go by feel. Slow motion so that you're feeling each angle here in your shoulder. And what areas you feel are moving freely and what angle or what area might feel a little bit more restricted. Make sure you fill the lungs completely. Let the air out. Especially that exhale helps to relax the muscles. So if there are areas that are more tense or tight, my angle's right about here at the back. Ooh, that one's intense. So I just take a breath and release the out breath really slowly. So as we did on the other side, find the sweet spot. Where is that for you where you feel that it's not a pinching or pain in the joint, but you feel that there's some intensity of a stretch through the arm or the pec or the shoulder or the upper back. Keep your head heavy, your lower body heavy. Stay there for 3 breaths. And then bring it back alongside of your body. And from here, it's easy just to roll onto your back with your knees bent, feet on the floor. And you can use your hands just to cup the occipital ridge or the skull area and just kind of pull it up so you get length and stretch through the neck here. And we maintain that natural space between the back of the neck and the floor. Okay, so with the lower back, we'll do a gentle pelvic tilt here a couple of times just to find where your center is. So we're not completely flattened and we're not completely arched, just finding a nice middle ground. Now hug your right thigh in towards your chest, interlace your fingers on that lower leg, breathe. As you exhale, just hug the thigh towards your belly to deflate the air from your abdomen. This is also a nice little compression for the ascending colon. Good for digestion. And then flex your right foot, send your heel upwards to the ceiling. So stretching the hamstring, reaching the heel straight up. So we'll do this in movement 3 times here. So breathe in with your leg nice and long, vertically upwards. And as you exhale, catch the shin with your hands and pull it back in. Good. Do it again. Hooking the hands behind the knee or behind the thigh to stretch the leg up, pressing the heel towards the ceiling. And then gently pulling the thigh towards your belly. So the next time your leg is outstretched towards the ceiling, stay there and point and flex your foot. And then a few ankle circles, maybe 3-4 times in each direction. This is great for releasing all of our lumbar nerves as we move the foot and the ankle and the knee around. And after a few more circles in the other direction, just cross that ankle over your knee and gently press the knee away from you with your hand. Just pause there. Draw your right thigh back in towards your chest, followed by the left thigh. Right foot comes down to the floor, hugging the left thigh in towards you. So as you exhale, draw the thigh a little closer, this time stimulating a bit more the descending colon area. When you inhale, gentle release. So using the breath there again. Soothing for the hip, your glute, your lower back. And then interlace the fingers behind your knee. Guide the movement with your heel. Foot is flexed. Press the legs straight up. Pause for a moment. Breathe. And then do that in movement 3 times. So catch the shin with your hands. Draw the leg in towards you. And then send it vertically upwards. Last time in movement, when your leg is outstretched again towards the ceiling, point and flex your ankle, your foot. Spread your toes. Deepen the breath. Couple of circles in each direction here, or maybe 3 or 4. Feels great for the Achilles, your shin, your calf, and the other direction. And just inverting also is so great for our circulation. Bringing the legs upwards like that draws the blood flow back to our heart. Really nourishing. Good. Let's hug that thigh back into the chest and then cross the outer left ankle over onto your right knee. And just with your left hand, press your knee away from you. Pause here and breathe. And then gently release the foot back down towards the floor. Now take this time to find a position that feels comfortable. I'm going to offer 2 suggestions for Shavasana, either with the feet nice and wide, let your knees come in towards one another. You can take your hand to your belly, elbows wide, just resting. So if this is comfortable, this is a nice position just to release the sacroiliac joint. So if you'd like to stay here for your relaxation the next few minutes, feel free. Or Shavasana with the legs extended, nice and wide. You could put a blanket or a pillow under the knees or your head, or a blanket on you, or big socks, anything to keep you warm and comfortable now to just release and relax your entire body. Allowing the effects of the postures that you worked through to take effect. Inhale through the nose. Exhale with a sigh. And just allow your entire body to release. And you can imagine almost like a photocopier or a scanner. Just scan your body from head to toe here. So passing over the head and the facial muscles, relaxing and releasing each area. Your neck and your throat, shoulders, chest, upper back, middle back, sternum, arms, hands and fingers, moving downwards to your lower belly and lower back, to your hips and pelvis and your gluteal muscles, feeling the weight of your hips sinking into the floor. Releasing your thighs down to your knees, and your shins, your lower legs, your calves. Scan through your ankles to your feet and toes. As the breath moves very naturally You may want to just affirm, my body is relaxed. My mind is at ease. Allow your heart to be at peace. I'm going to leave you a couple of minutes in silence to fully rest. I'll call you back shortly. Begin to make your way gradually back into the moment. Gentle movement to your extremities, your fingers, your feet. Pedal your feet. Open and close your hands and your fingers. And just circle wrists and ankles into a nice lengthened position, stretching your body here in any way that feels good to come back from Shavasana, our resting pose. Knees can come to the chest, rolling onto one side for a few moments before coming back to seated. As you come back to seated, sit still, close your eyes, and just recall the first few moments where you sat in this position in the beginning of practice and notice what has shifted for you, feeling the effects on your mind, your body, your energy. Draw your hands back in towards your center, uniting right and left, above, below. Inhale, exhale. Bow your head to your own heart in a silent namaste to acknowledge the time that you've taken for yourself to nurture and soothe your mind, your body, your heart, your energy. And we'll share a final breath together to complete our practice. Breathing in, float the arms up, and come right back in. Namaste.